Good morning or afternoon to everyone, depending on where you're located. Welcome to today's webinar, 7 Reasons to Move Your Testing Software to the Cloud. I'm Kali Roberts, Marketing Coordinator here at Biddle Consulting Group, and I'm going to be moderating today's webinar. Before we get started, I want to go over a few housekeeping notes. Mike, if you could. Perfect. Thank you. So we've taken a screenshot of the example of what your attendee interface should look like. You should see something like this right now on your computer's desktop. You might need to do one more click, Mike. Perfect. So by default, you're listening using your computer speaker system. If you want to join over the phone, just select telephone in the audio pane and the dial-in information will be displayed. You will have the opportunity to submit text questions to today's presenter by typing your questions into the questions pane. You can see that right now highlighted under the handout section. You can send those questions in at any time during the presentation and we will try to get right to them. But in case we don't, we will have some time at the end for a quick Q&A session. And now I'm going to turn it over to Mike Callan, who will jump straight into today's content.
Good morning. Thank you, Kali. How are we on time? Would you like to pause for a few moments and make sure that we've got everybody in attendance, or should we just jump right in?
We can give people a few moments to get signed in. I know it's not exactly 10 a.m., so yeah, let's give everybody a few moments and we'll jump in.
All right, so if you're on the call, thank you very much for joining us today, and we will be jumping right into the content in just a moment. Thank you so much. Good morning or good afternoon, depending on where you are in the country. My name is Mike Callan. I'm the VP of Products at Biddle Consulting Group. And thank you very much for joining us today for this webinar. We really appreciate your time and your attendance, and we hope that this time together is valuable. We're going to go ahead and start the content, and the purpose of our getting together today is to introduce the cloud-based version of the TestGenius product. First of all, though, I'd like to mention who is TestGenius. Many of our clients go back as far as 1993 in terms of our software products. They've been around for quite a while, and so most of you are familiar with Biddle Consulting Group, our corporation, but we have most recently incorporated all of our testing products into a suite which is known as TestGenius. And the TestGenius product includes products such as OPAC, Critical, C4, and other testing products that we've had available or launched over the past couple decades. So first of all, since we're talking about migrating from an installed product to a cloud-based product, it's probably important to spend a moment or two discussing what exactly is cloud-based. And the first point here is that it resides on the web. It is important. Cloud-based products are web-based products, but what's important to know is that there are web-based products that are not necessarily cloud-based products. And so an example would be we actually launched our first iteration of our online testing, and it actually required that the applicants downloaded and installed a program in order to run their testing. And so the most recent version of our product, this cloud-based version, requires no plugins, no installs, and of course the data is all controlled on our end. It's all housed on our servers, so there are no there's no IT support required. There's no data to be stored on your end. Everything is handled on the web itself. So we want to look at differences in how the TestGenius product is administered. With the installed product, obviously the only way that you can administer a test is through a proctored administration. And in the TestGenius online product, there's actually 3 different ways that tests can be administered to applicants. In the same way that it's currently administered through the installed product, the proctored administration mode can be used. But on the cloud-based system, there's an additional function that's available for this, which is email invitation. So you can import a list of applicants, assign them a specific test. They will be sent instructions as to when and where to come to your location for testing. They'll be given a specific test code. They're asked to print a copy or take a cell phone picture of that code, bring it in with them for their testing, and they enter that code, and the system will automatically know who they are that they're testing for your organization, what test battery they're supposed to be given, what their cutoff scores are, and that sort of thing. Some additional test administration modes that are available within the cloud-based system include unproctored testing with email invitation, and we call this bunny slipper testing. So applicants can actually test at home during a specific period of time in the comfort of their home when they have the opportunity, the time available to start and complete the testing at their convenience. And the third test administration mode is the static link testing. And in this case, you can have a static link that could be inserted onto your website or included in emails sent out to anybody you'd like, or they could literally come to your website, click on a link. In this case, they would self-register by providing their first name, last name, and email address, and then they would go through and be given a test that they could take online as well. So when we're talking about advantages of the cloud-based system, one of the major advantages is that it affords itself to unproctored testing. And so very often people want to know why it is that the market is moving in this direction. And there's a couple of reasons why it's really important or it's really valuable to be able to use unproctored testing. The first one is that it does allow organizations to cast a broader net. So they're able to have applicants that come from different parts of the country or even the world and be able to test remotely rather than having to bring them in through a long drive or an airplane trip in order to be able to determine their initial skill and abilities level. That's a very important function. Sometimes when the economy is really rocking along, it's hard to find enough applicants, and so this gives you a benefit in that regard. Another reason is that it reduces internal resource use. Many organizations that we're dealing with have been told that they need to close their testing centers. They simply aren't able to use these internal resources because of the real estate costs, the IT costs, the computer costs, those kinds of things. They might not have proctors available. They might not even have a person available to do identity verification. The third reason why unproctored testing is becoming so popular is that for basic skill and ability testing, the type of testing that we're generally using in the OPAC, the critical, and the C4 tests, it's very, very safe to use. So 10 years ago, the IO psychology testing industry was all about identifying these folks and knowing who they are, and the concerns were with online testing that there would be a lot of a lot of cheating, and it simply is not happening in this regard with the skill and ability testing. Now, with that said, I do want to point out that there are many, many instances where testing should be proctored, and we actually have some solutions for that as well, which we will discuss a little further down the road. So why go to the cloud? There's some really great benefits to upgrading to the cloud-based software. The first one is that there are no installations or upgrades ever. The product is automatically upgraded, and of course it's distributed to everyone at the same time. This means, of course, that you don't have to to receive DVDs, hand them over to the IT staff, and have them go through and update the software. We don't have different clients using different versions of the software at the same time, and so there's a lot of advantages to that. Even maintaining a list of who the right person is to receive the DVDs is something that has another layer of complexity to it. With the cloud-based system, as I mentioned earlier, the applicants aren't required to install any plugins or downloads. Everybody always has the latest version, and all the data is maintained and backed up by us, so it's continually available and continually backed up. All of our tests, many of you have been clients all the way back to 1993 and 1994. And so obviously tests were created for different screen resolutions, for different versions of programs. We actually, our first generation of tests were actually created in the DOS environment. So over time, tests have been created and added, but we've never had an opportunity to go back through and redo them so that they all have the exact same look and feel. And in this particular version, we've taken the additional time, we've done that, and all of the tests have the same fonts and the same colors and the same backgrounds, and it's all the benefits that come with that. The technology is agnostic, and so it's not just a Windows-based product. Folks with Apple operating systems are able to use the software. We were very, very fortunate. There was a period of time where lots of people in this space were migrating towards Flash-based products. It seemed to be a really great product to use, but it ended up having a lot of security issues, and it's essentially dying on the vine right now. And so our product is built on a foundation of HTML5 and JavaScript, which are the most universal and ubiquitous languages that are in the space right now. And they're compatible with the most recent versions of the 4 most popular browsers. One final reason why it's a great idea to go to the cloud has to do with accessibility. It's always in everyone's benefit to be able to make your product as accessible as possible. We spent a lot of extra time and a lot of extra money to make the software work for people who require screen readers and programs like JAWS. And so the program is as accommodatable as we could possibly make it without providing the answers to the questions through the use of these accommodation tools. So anybody who's interested, we do have a VPAT, which is a Section 508 report available, and we can go ahead and send that off to you if you have an interest in that. We have also created a new test writer program. And our test writer program it gives the clients the ability to automate any of their custom testing programs. This product has been available within the installed product, but now it's been dramatically expanded in the cloud-based version, and we have several different item types that were not available in the prior version. The first one here is an agreement item, and this is a non-scored item in terms of pass-fail, but really what it does is it gives an opportunity to provide some sort of disclaimer to your applicants. In this case, here's a screen that explains to them that testing from home is a privilege and that they shouldn't take advantage of it, and that the organization reserves the right to give a parallel confirmatory version of any test or all tests if they so choose in order to advance the applicant to the next step. This is one of the secrets to making the skill and ability testing safe to use in this particular environment. So it's a very important aspect that we've added to this program. Another item type is multiple choice. This, of course, has always been in the test writer program, and it's the staple of written tests. But our multiple choice items can use images. They have formatting available. You can incorporate sound files, video files. You can even incorporate documents like PDF files as well if you want your applicants to refer to something and then ask questions about that. We have drag and drop, which is a function that allows you to do matching and sorting and dragging and dropping of particular images with their descriptions. We have Likert items. So Likert items, if you're not familiar, are the types of items that are used in surveys. So they're not scored per se in a pass-fail, but it does allow you to ask questions like, how do you perceive this particular process? Was it satisfying to you, somewhat satisfying, a little bit satisfying, or not at all satisfying? We have our keyboarding tests, which have been around forever. We have many canned keyboarding tests as well. We have the ability to create custom keyboarding. And we have proofing or proofreading as well. And so same thing as with the keyboarding, we have many different canned versions of this as well. Clients are able to create their own proofreading tests that contain errors of any particular type, and then have their applicants go through and find those errors and correct them. So this is sort of in summary, why do you want to go to the cloud? Well, obviously we have a new platform, utterly new platform, end-to-end, and all new versions of the tests. We have recreated the item banking program, making it more functional than it was before. Sean Conan is going to talk to us a little bit about the Microsoft Office training. Our mantra has become test, train, and retain. So we want to offer a best-in-class testing product. We want to offer some training tools that will help you to train and advance your existing employees. And then, of course, obviously, you want to be able to retain those folks and make sure that your organization is as successful as possible. And then finally, I'm going to introduce to you our integrated services partners. These partners are able, through their services, which are integrated with the cloud-based version of TestGenius, they're able to really exponentially increase the value of the product. And today online we have Examity, which is a remote proctoring solution. We have HireLink, which is an applicant tracking and HR management solution integration product. We have Dotton, which is a really incredible personality test, and Verified First, which is a background checking solution, and True North, which is a really unique and fantastic automated computer-based language testing solution as well. So without further ado, let me go ahead and continue forward, and we can let Sean jump in and tell us about the MS Office testing or training product.
Hello, everyone. Sean Conant here. I'm the training product specialist with Biddle Consulting Group. And just to piggyback off of what Mike said, over the years, many of our testing clients have reached out to inquire about a training tool for not only new hires, but existing employees and students. But we didn't have one available until now. So TestGenius now offers a Microsoft Office training module, which features unlimited training in Microsoft Word, Excel, Outlook, and PowerPoint. An administrator can create a training consisting of a full title, part of a title, or a mixed combination of the many. And the training is unlimited, so you can train as many folks as you'd like using the online platform. Administering training it's very simple. You're just going to go ahead and select the auto training code you wish to share. You're going to enter your trainee's information consisting of just a first name, a last name, and an email address. And once again, you can invite as many folks as you'd like. So for example, let's say you had 24 employees that you wanted to assign training. You can actually import from an Excel spreadsheet their information right into the invite here. Mike, can I get the next slide, please? So as you assign a training, each trainee receives a direct link to their email. As they log in using that link, they're brought to our training dashboard. The dashboard is really a holistic view of any and all training they've been assigned. It's as you can see in the graphic here, it's showing I've been assigned, or I've completed 3 of 11 trainings I've been assigned, 2 in progress at the moment, and 6 completely unattempted. You can see I've invested 6 hours total, and I've got a deadline or a due date set for January 30th here. So it's a great way for your trainees to keep track and monitor their own progress in the software. Mike, can I get the next slide, please? Really quickly, I want to go over the fundamental aspects of the simulations here. And the most fundamental aspect is going to be the progressive nature. So the training is provided in 3 tiers. You're being asked to perform a function. At the bottom of the screen there, you can see it wants you to enter data. And if you know how to perform that task, then you just do so outright. Doesn't matter how you get from point A to point B, as long as you do so correctly. Now, the second option is if you have an idea of how to perform that function, but you're not quite sure, if you look in the bottom right there, you can ask the program for a hint, and it'll actually give you a step-by-step tutorial of how you go about performing the said function. And then your third and final option there is to ask the program to show you using the Show Me option. And that's actually going to give you a full-blown tutorial. It takes complete control of the screen and provides the trainee with audio and visual instructions as to how to perform that function. But as you're shown how to complete that task, you need to go in and show the software that you've just learned how to perform the function. So no chance of moving on until you do get that passing rate on that item. The second most fundamental aspect is going to be the functionality of the simulations. So Mike kind of touched on the JavaScript and the HTML5. Well, every tab and button in the software here in the simulations, they react just like the live Microsoft Office. And really quickly, we'll finish up. Mike, if I can get that last slide for training reports. So your training reports, the module requires no supervisor oversight, and it's completely self-scoring. All activity is going to be documented in the form of training reports here. Your trainees have access to their own reports using the training dashboard, so they can always go ahead and review their progress. But you as an administrator have complete access to training reports 24/7 in the admin program as well. So it's an elegant but simple tool. And it's going to be a great opportunity for new hires, existing employees, and your students alike. Thank you.
Thank you, Sean. So now Steve is going to introduce us to Examity.
Thanks, Callie. My name is Steve Winicki. I'm Senior Director of Business Development at Examity. Just want to start off and give you a little sense of who we are. So we are a company that focuses on online proctoring. So we proctor tests remotely for clients worldwide with the use of a webcam and microphone and screen sharing software like we're using today during this webinar. So Examity has been in the online testing, online proctoring space since 2013. And when we entered the industry, there was a few companies that were already in this space, but they were only doing 1 or 2 things. You know, some might have been doing fully live proctoring. Others might be doing things like technology-enabled proctoring using solutions like one of the ones that we offer that I'll talk about in a couple of minutes. So we really saw an opportunity to develop a completely holistic solution that would give clients a lot of flexibility for their exam programs. So since that time, we've grown quite a bit. We're proctoring more tests online than anybody else, with more clients than pretty much any of our competition. And I think that's really a testament to the way that we approach our client relationships and how we support them through the evolution of their testing programs. Externally, we've been recognized by organizations like Deloitte for being one of the fastest growing education technology companies in North America. We took a sizable investment in our business from a private equity company based in Boston earlier this spring, which is going to allow us to invest back in our business even more. Next slide, Mike. So I want to talk a little bit about a concept that we like to call learning validation. So when you look at this marketplace and look at any type of test that you might be giving, ultimately you're really trying to validate learning outcomes, whether it's skills-based or personality-based, or even we do certification testing and education testing and all sorts of other things. But really our biggest competitive advantage is that we offer all permutations of proctoring from one single platform. So what that means is whether you're looking at a very basic, just I want to identify a user, or if I want to do fully live proctoring, all from the same platform. So really, we provide that flexibility that allows you to choose what solution makes the most sense for you on a program-by-program and exam-by-exam basis. So our approach, we really break down into three key categories: ID verification, automated proctoring, and live proctoring. So for ID verification, at the simplest level, we're really confirming that the individual that shows up to take the test is who they say they are. We really have a three-step process in order to do that. First step is that they're going to show us their ID, could be a driver's license or a passport or something of that regard, and we're going to confirm that their name is the same on the testing record and their face is the same as on the ID. Second, we're going to ask them to answer some security challenge questions that they've set up in our system before their exam. And lastly, we're going to have them do our biometrics, which is an added extra layer of security. And it's really an interesting piece of technology, and it's essentially a typing sample where they're going to type their name, and we're going to track the cadence that they type, and it's really going to create a unique digital record. So that's all about the identity of the user, making sure they are who they say they are. Second, I'll briefly touch on automated proctoring. So this is really technology-enabled proctoring. So our system is going to confirm the ID of the user and monitor them via technology. So as an example, if my head moves out of view of the webcam, our system is going to flag that user. And then lastly, I'll talk about our live proctoring solution, which is really our flagship solution. About 95% of the 2 million tests that we proctor on an annual basis are live. So we're going to confirm ID, and we're going to monitor the exam in real time with IT-trained proctors, proctoring at a 2-to-1 ratio on average, which is the lowest in the industry. So the IT-trained proctors is a big piece, because if something happens during the exam or even before the exam gets launched, their webcam isn't working, our proctor can work with them the test taker directly to resolve whatever issue they might be having. Next slide, please. So there are a few attributes that really set us apart in the marketplace and the solutions that we've developed. First, our platform is incredibly stable. One of the things that we really think is a testament to our technology and our support staff and the way that we've developed the solution is about 5 minutes we've been down this year, which means that clients and their test takers aren't being impacted, which is obviously our number one goal. Second, our size and position in this market, non-online testing market, has allowed us to invest in new technology. So we're developing new ways of identifying users, such as using facial recognition, and we'll be bringing those new solutions to market over the next 12 to 24 months. But I think it's just another way for us to continue to look at improving the process. Another unique aspect of our solution is every client is integrated. So that means a better user experience. We've integrated with the TestGenius product, which again gives all your users a better seamless experience than if you weren't integrated and it was just sort of a standalone platform. And then lastly, our services include robust reporting and analytics on the background. So everything that happens during the testing event is completely tracked. You get access to all that data. And then as a kind of aside, one of the things we've figured out over the years is test takers have really high expectations from a support standpoint. So we are 24/7, 365 shop. We have 3 support channels, phone, chat, and email that's always available if a user needs any help. Next slide, Mike. And then lastly, I'll talk a little bit about our process. In terms of your exams, they never leave the TestGenius system. They're gonna stay in that system. You're gonna be able to develop them like you do today. Once the exam's created and you're happy with it, you're gonna come over to Examity. You're gonna select the security level. And when I say security level, I'm talking about what type of proctoring, whether it's live proctoring, an automated solution. You're going to tailor any rules for the exam. Is there something you want us to do that goes above and beyond our standard proctoring infrastructure? Your test takers are going to come into our site. They're going to register and schedule for their exam. We're going to authenticate them in Proctor. After the exam takes place, as an extra layer of quality assurance, we're going to review the footage before we release the video and audio and analytics to your dashboard, which is available for you to see what occurred during any individual testing event. Next slide, Mike. And lastly, here's my contact information. Happy to answer any questions you might have about online proctoring, the solutions that Examity has, or integrations with TestGenius. And thank you for your time today.
Thank you, Steve.
Back to you, Kelly.
Now, Jeremy is going to talk with us a little bit about HireLink.
Yeah, and to introduce myself and HireLink, I am a senior product manager over here at HireLink. And in a nutshell, what HireLink is we are an integration solution that allows our clients to be integrated with any ATS or hiring system in the market. Now, when you look at integrations, there's a lot of different ways to do an integration, but the most important part, especially when it comes to assessments, is being able to send an assessment invitation, check the status of that order, and then also be able to view the scores and view the reports all within inside your hiring system. Our main goal is to make it so that you have all of the TestGenius platform and all the features that you're used to using in TestGenius available inside the ATS or hiring platform that you use. And so we've partnered up with Biddle to be able to provide you guys an integration no matter what hiring system or ATS that you may be using. So what I want to do today is just show you a couple screenshots of how the integration works and what you would expect when it is dealing with the integration that we've built with TestGenius. HireLink is built on a browser extension platform. So if you're not familiar with browser extensions, to put them simply, all they are apps, very similar to the apps that you have on your phone. The only difference is instead of these apps being on your phone, they're in your browser. So as you can see on this page, the integration looks like this little pop-up window. You'll have a little orange icon in the upper right-hand corner of your browser. And then when you click on it, it opens up the TestGenius integration. And the TestGenius integration is very good at identifying candidate information on the page. So we're inside of Taleo, but keep in mind that it works the exact same way no matter what hiring system you're using. So if you happen to be using iSums or Workday or Newton, it's going to work the same way. Just the information on the page is obviously going to be set up differently. But as you can tell, the integration is pulling the candidate's email and phone number off the page. And so at this point, what you would be able to do is place an order for this candidate of Jeremy Kohler. So what would happen is you click Start Process. And once you click Start Process, the extension will bring up an order form that you can go ahead and select the assessment that you want to invite this candidate to. So Mike, if you could switch the page, sweet. And so all we're gonna do is give you a little drop down that shows every assessment that you have inside of your TestGenius account. You'll be able to select the one that is applicable for this candidate, and then you'll be able to submit that. Once you submit it, TestGenius is gonna send out the normal invitations to the candidate to complete the assessment, and then the extension will update with statuses so that anytime you come back into this candidate page inside of your ATS or hiring system, you'll be able to check the status, or if it is a completed assessment, you'll be able to see some of the scoring breakdown. So Mike, can you go to the next screen? So what that looks like is similar to this. We're going to give you basic information at the top about the candidate. We're going to tell you the title of the assessment, and then we'll give you each section's score breakdown. So whether that's the basic Excel, PowerPoint, basic Word, or any of the other sections that might fall inside of the assessment you selected, we'll let you know how well the candidate did in each section. We'll give you a little information about when the assessment was sent out, who sent it out, and when it was complete. And then we'll also provide a link that will open up the full-blown report so that you can dig in a little farther if the basic scoring information wasn't enough information for you to make a hiring decision. So in general, the great thing about this integration is it's not only going to allow you to be integrated with any ATS or hiring system on the market, but it's also going to allow you to place assessment orders, view statuses, and view scores and reports all within inside that same system. So you don't have to jump in between TestGenius and your hiring system. You can have all that information inside of one system itself. Next slide. And so if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to the BIDL group themselves, or you can reach me at my email at jeremy@hirelink.io. Thanks.
Thank you, Jeremy. And Ashish is going to talk with us about .in.
Hey guys, thank you so much. Ashish here from .in, and thank you again for your attention. So .in, our claim to fame is that we have a personality assessment that takes 60 seconds and is done without asking any questions. Sounds a little crazy, but it's actually science. Think back to marketing classes in biz school, where in the 60s, for example, the color and emotion connection was studied quite deeply to influence people. In the 80s and 90s, this was actually studied even deeper to find that it's colors and patterns when we look at them together. And these can be used to kind of influence certain archetypes. So this correlation kind of shows the direction that our science went with our own experimentation. We basically have created an assessment product where within 1 minute, by selecting which image patterns that resonate to you, we can come back with your working style, your learning style, your dominant and compatibility attributes. So let's take a look at what this looks like within TestGenius. And if you can go to the next slide, please, Mike. The next few slides will be the screenshots, basically, of the assessment. So the first section is your working style. Here, this pattern and footprint, if you will, is kind of showing the qualities that, in this case, my report has in terms of my working personality. The next slide is a double click into that, and we can go to the following slide, which is your learning style. Now, this is the second component here, where you can actually see, how somebody consumes information. And this is important because once you understand the way somebody, is receptive to information, you can devise better strategies in terms of engagement. With the next slide here, we're looking at the dominant personality attributes. These are the positive traits somebody brings to a team, but it's also important to understand what attributes are, building team synergy. So the compatibility attributes in the next slide are exactly those. We're able to look at which mappings of positive traits work well within groups of people. So this is important because you can derive some pretty key outcomes. Engagement insights help us to connect better with a particular new employee or candidate. We can also look at incentives in the next slide that will help to motivate and bring on this person. And we can also derive what kind of values they have in terms of the overall workplace culture. These outputs are easy to consume with PDF reports, which will be available through the platform as well. These are on demand. But even deeper, you can look at reports within one-to-many kind of use cases. If you look at team synergy here, for example, we can see quickly where we have a strong match in the next slide and a good overlap in terms of qualities. And then, Mike, if you could go to the next slide. So this is an example of that strong synergy of a good overlap here. And then the following slide gives us an example of an opportunity where now we can see if there's a potential place where a proactive coaching session might be in order, where you might have people with different ways of learning. This is the #1 reason why teams, don't particularly perform, because we just have different ways of communicating. So beyond that, as you kind of gain insights throughout the overall management of somebody's tenure, there are some tangible use cases that having these types of insights would build. And also, even beyond those use cases, the results are proven in the market. With the next slide, we can see accuracy, efficiency, and overall retention is the key driver. But as we go into the next 2 slides here, Mike, these kind of go through some of our customers. And the key point here is that because we're solving a very, if you will, horizontal problem, we do have customers across different regions, and also because we focus on the most bias-free opportunities, we're also very compliant for arenas such as Europe. And the IP, if you will, is defensible with our patents. We have actually 7 now, with the last few going through. And I'll just end it on a quick thank you for your attention, and Really appreciate the opportunity here to answer any questions. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Ashish. And Chris is going to talk with us about Verified First.
Hey guys, Chris Jackson here. I'm a partner relationship manager with Verified First. So a little bit about Verified First before I hop into talking about the integration we have with TestGenius and how simple it is for HR managers and recruiters to submit a background check right from the cloud system. So Verified First is the fastest growing background screening company in the US. Our team is 100% US based as well. In fact, our headquarters is based in Boise, Idaho, and we pretty much are empowering organizations to feel confident about the employees they select by redefining what they should expect from a background screening provider. And a few ways we do this is through our technology, with the help of our in-house compliance team, and of course, our client support team. And this has consistently resulted in positive testimonials, and we're currently at a 96% customer satisfaction rate. And all that has helped with the achievements that you see listed below. Next slide, Mike. Awesome. So background screening improves quality of hire. So as someone responsible for making the decision to move forward with a candidate, you want to obviously make sure that the employee that you select is not only the right one, but the most honest when sharing specific details related to their background history. So I strongly believe background checks play a huge part in providing you that insight, and it confirms the information the employer or candidate shares up front is indeed accurate. There's so many various different services that we offer that can help with this, ranging from employment verifications to ensure the candidate is qualified for the tasks and duties that they are given, to criminal searches that give you insight to any potential misdemeanors, felony charges, ranging even credit history reports, anything that helps you maintain a safe work environment. Next slide, Mike. So this is an actual screenshot of how the integration looks within the TestGenius platform. We integrate through a browser extension, and we're compatible with all the well-known browsers out there, such as Safari, Microsoft Edge, Firefox, Google Chrome, etc. And pretty much it allows you to submit a background check order right from TestGenius without ever leaving the platform from start to finish. So based on your company and organization's guidelines and needs, we can customize different packages and make different services available to you. So you're able to actually submit the background check on the applicant. As you can see in the extension, all the information will be pulled over into the extension, so that eliminates the need for you to do duplicate data entry as well, because we mapped all that out. A few key fields here that I do want to highlight is the email field as well as the phone number field. It allows you to email or text the applicant the consent form as well as the necessary disclosures in order for Verified First to conduct the background check. So we do all that heavy lifting for you. Or if you have you're on a different process, you can hit like next and actually submit the data yourself and submit the request to Verify First. Once we actually conduct the background check, results will be pushed back into the extension, and you're able to actually pull the report right from within TestGenius and make a decision if you're going to move forward with the applicant or not. So this is a really unique integration. And again, our goal was to simplify it and make it extremely easy to use. But we also want to make sure that you have that customized filling and we meet your needs based off of searches that you actually need to run based off of guidelines and things that you have to follow based on compliance. Next slide, Mike. Perfect. So I just want to say thank you to Mike and the BIDL Consulting team for inviting me to today's webinar. And if anyone has any questions regarding our services or the integration we actually have with TestGenius, I encourage you to reach out to me via email or just give me a quick call. Thank you.
Thanks, Chris. And finally, we're moving on to Brigham, who's going to introduce us to True North.
Thank you. Yeah, a very, very high level, True North is an assessment platform that allows you to automatically test employees' language ability, and the results are immediate. It's a cloud-based program. We leverage artificial intelligence and machine learning that allows us to do an oral proficiency assessment in less than 15 minutes with immediate accurate results that map to standard language scales. If we can go to the next slide. Right now, many organizations aren't able to make language-based hiring decisions in a timely manner because live interviews are too time intensive. They're biased, and most hiring managers aren't skilled in evaluating language, and they're not scalable. Additionally, third-party tests of language proficiency, particularly oral proficiency, are very costly. They take too long, and the scores can take up to a few days to a few weeks and doesn't fit the typical hiring timeline. And finally, there isn't insights and feedback that allow the hiring managers to make specific decisions on skills or to create plans to train their employees. If we can go to the next slide. So the True North test is a solution. It's a very simple technology. You speak to the computer, it speaks back to you, and it rates your speech and gives you progressively harder questions until we're able to determine the speaking ability. The beauty of using a technology-based test is it removes the human bias. It takes 15 minutes or less, and significantly decreases the cost of trying to assess someone's language ability in the hiring process. Also, in many cases, our assessment is used at the front end of the process, particularly in any position where a language skill is required for that position, particularly English or Spanish here in the United States. The first part of the hiring process can be taking this language assessment. If they don't pass that, then they don't move on to the process, and it saves our customers significant amounts of time, both on their recruiting process, but also helps them avoid hiring and the cost of hiring and training someone who isn't ultimately qualified. And finally, the immediacy of our results is something that sets us apart. The results of the test are in as soon as the test taker completes their test, and that way a walk-in applicant can take the test and you'll know right then if they should move on with the process or not. Next slide here. If you have any further questions about our automated language testing solutions, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm the CEO of True North, and my email is here, brighamt@immersionlearning.com. And thanks for the time.
Brigham, my apologies for jumping the gun on that slide there. Thank you so much for sharing.
No problem.
Well, thank you all very much. Wanted to, Khalid, did you want to jump in and help to close us out?
I will.
Okay, sorry about that.
No problem. Thanks everyone for joining us today. We hope all of your questions were answered about moving your testing software to the cloud. If you have any product specific questions, feel free to reach out to those specific panelists or your TestGenius rep. We can help you out here too. And finally, we have some extra time for questions. So do send us any right now, but Mike, we have one for you. Okay. Leilani asked if we are able to customize the Microsoft Office tests, for example, adding and removing questions.
Very, very good question. And so let me say that is a function that is in process. I cannot say that we're actually working on that, but we're formulating the solution for being able to do that. We know that that's something that our clients would like to do. We had added that functionality into our live software testing, and it's a little bit more difficult to do in the environment that we're in right now, but it is a version 2 project that is on our development list, and we will be adding that functionality to the software as soon as possible. So that's a really great question. Thank you. I wish I could say we'd have it tomorrow, but we will have it as soon as possible.
And David wants to know, how do I move over to the cloud solution?
Another great question. So it's very easy to move over to the cloud. It's literally something that the account managers can set up in the same day or the next day at the very latest. And so it's definitely beneficial to reach out to each of your individual representative. If you don't know who your representative is, you certainly can call the 800 number on the screen, or you can email me. I will get you directed to the right person. There's a variety of different licenses that are available and have been available. Some people are current, some people are not current. And so there's what has to happen is they need to look at your account, and then they'll provide an opportunity in the form of a quote for you to be able to upgrade to this particular system. And then you can make a determination. We can get a demo started very quickly if you want to take a look at the testing in real time, and then get you upgraded as soon as you say that you're ready to go with it.
Thanks, Mike. And Chris, we have a question for you. What is the turnaround time for backgrounds once submitted?
Yeah, another great question. So obviously the turnaround time ranges, but on average, our turnaround time is between 1 and 3 business days, just depending on the services you're running on that applicant. But it's really healthy, obviously, within this industry. And yeah, hopefully that helps. So 1 to 3 business days on average.
Perfect, thanks. And another question from Melanie. With the upgrade, do you get all of these integrated systems?
Yes, so basically, if you get the what we would call the complete package upgrade, yes, you do. Now, there is a certain amount of functionality that comes at an additional cost. For instance, the remote proctoring, the integration is an aspect of the software. So we have an integration that will allow you to have the proctoring solution through Examity, but the actual proctoring, what level of proctoring you're going to use, there's a separate contract that's set up with them, and you can speak with Steve or one of Steve Winicke's employees about that particular aspect of it. So generally speaking, the content that has been described today is going to be available in the integration. Background checks would be one example, and the sorry, I just lost my train of thought. The background checks and the remote proctoring would be the 2 examples that would also incur an additional cost.
Great. And one more question related to the background checks. Once they fill out disclosures, do they need to upload them on their end, or would they need to bring them in physically for notary?
Yeah, so there's 2 options. So if you, within the TestGenius platform, you're able to send the disclosures via email as well as a text message. And if the applicant fills that information out over on their phone or on their desktop, then they won't need to do anything else. From there, the information is pushed over to Verify First, and we do the heavy lifting and start the background check, and then you're notified throughout the process. We also offer the option to, if you have like a physical consent form where people come into your organization and fill it out, you can upload that consent form and submit the background checks. So it just really depends on your process, but we have the capabilities of them not actually dropping off anything, just filling out everything electronically, and that automatically getting pushed over, and we do the heavy lifting and start the background check. I hope that answers their question.
Thank you. So that looks like it was the last one. Again, if you have any other additional questions, feel free to reach out directly to a panelist or to us here. We'd be happy to answer them. Yes?
I'd like to add one final point, if there are no questions left, it's very important to know the quality of the folks that you're working with. And one of the things that I failed to mention earlier on when I introduced the partners is that these folks all represent best-in-class companies and best-in-class solutions. And our technical people have worked or are currently working with their technical people. We can speak for the quality of the coding and the quality of the relationship. We have clients that are working with these organizations currently who've, in many cases, asked us to come together and to provide these integrations. And so I really want to, there's a lot of different choices that organizations have when they are choosing, not only their testing solution, but all of the associated integrated products that can come with that. And I just really want to, as highly as possible, endorse each of the partners that we're working with here.
Thank you, Mike.
So with that, I think we're going to wrap it up. Again, any additional questions, feel free to send them our way. And thank you for joining us. We hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Anybody else want to jump in and say goodbye before I end this for everyone?
Yeah, hello, this is Chris here. Thank you everyone for your time. Really appreciate it. Again, if you have any further questions regarding background screening needs, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm available. And yeah, thank you for your time.
Thanks, Chris.
I think that's it, Kali. Thank you so much.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.